Coming up on the show today, Shaun, we're going to dive into the inbox. Are you ready? Whee! That was nice.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Yeah, you know what? Let's dive into the inbox, and we're going to be talking more about Meta today as well, so stick around. Plenty to talk about on that subject. But for
more
now,
Meta?
more Meta news. Well, not so much news, but let's just say commentary on developments, because it's been a really busy week. I mean, it's funny. We were saying, what was it, just after the Apple event, that we probably should, take a beat to, capture and keep up to date with the news. And then by the end of Friday, I was exhausted. Saturday morning, I was up writing an article on our website, which, by the way, you should check out and you can subscribe to through RSS as well. Just go to www.doubletaponair.com and you can access all of our latest news and stories, because oftentimes we will publish articles there, usually because we just can't get to air quick enough with the story, or it's too big to wait. Too big to wait.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that, that breaking news from Meta was, as we said at the time, massive news.
Yeah, the screen reader news, and also the news about, of course, the SDK that's opening up, and what Meta teased at Meta Connect. It is important to say as well, and it's really important to stress this, that while we're all very excited, and I certainly am, although, again, no one else mentioned it but us. We were first, but
let it go, Stephen.
I'm absolutely not letting it go. I'm holding on to that one with both hands. But no, look, I mean, the SDK news is good, but it does have a bit of a time lag on it, because it's going to take time for these developers, even Microsoft, to build Seeing AI into this. So they're talking early 2026 or mid 2026 by the time these features are available. And they will be across devices as well. I see that question come up time and time again. It is going to be across the entire range of glasses. So, I know yesterday I was kind of musing on, would we be able to control Seeing AI via the glasses, or via the neural band on the display glasses? I actually, thinking upon that, I don't think we will, because, of course, if it's across all the other devices, well, they don't have the neural band support, and you wouldn't use the neural band to control them, because you're essentially at that point controlling your phone. So, I imagine through a series of shortcuts or voice control, you could use it, potentially that way. My microphone's doing the thing again. I just caught it there.
It's being called up, Stephen Scott. It's been chosen.
What's going on? Yes. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Stay with me. What's wrong with you? Why am I shouting at an inanimate microphone? What is going on around here? I need to get out more. So yeah, what are we doing today? We're going to do feedback today, right?
We're diving into the inbox. Yes.
Oh, before I do, that was a thing. I knew there was something else I wanted to mention.
Yes.
So AMI Audio has a new show called... I'm terrible.
You're right.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm nervous because everything keeps moving around me. I don't like this. The thing with my vision is that sometimes things do move around and they're not really moving around. And then when they actually are moving around, that's even worse.
You don't know. You got real world.
No, but that's even worse. Real life Charles Bonnet syndrome over here. It's like, I know it actually is moving. Wow.
All right, relax. You need to take time and reflect on things, Stephen Scott.
Absolutely. Just like the new AMI audio show, Reflections.
You're welcome.
That was very well done there, Shaun Preece.
Thank you.
I've got to say,
Get you back on track.
There's one man who's going to be very happy with that. He's going to be, extremely happy to hear that.
God bless you, sir.
He's doing well, by
show.
the way. He's doing well. Yeah.
Good.
He was asking after you at the last meeting that you didn't bother turning up for.
Well, I didn't know there was a meeting.
Oh, rubbish.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. F. I was ill.
Yes, that's right.
All over in the gym.
That day's coming. That's what worries me. But anyway, yes, the new show on AMI Audio, it's called Reflections. You can download it as a podcast as well on a podcast provider near you. And every day on the show, they have lots of different guests, lots of different topics. But one in particular that came out last week, I think it was on AI and accessibility. And they had this whole discussion. I say discussion, it's very much a documentary style show. So you're hearing all these different opinions and viewpoints. And I love it. And you get to learn about lots of cool different things. But in this particular episode, if I'm honest, I kind of thought, look, I'm probably going to hear a lot of the same opinions I've heard a lot of times before around this. But actually that wasn't the case, because when it came to the discussion around privacy, there was a great interview in the program, which you must listen to. And we'll put a link to the episode in our show notes. But it was talking about our privacy as disabled people when we use AI. So a lot of people say, well, when you use AI, when you put something into the system, essentially, let's say you use ChatGPT and you type in a question or you put information in, that information might be taken and then used by OpenAI to develop what they're creating, which is the AI large language model. Okay, so we've kind of got that, right? We kind of know how it works. But we think our data is anonymized. And in a lot of cases, it is. In most cases, it is. However, if you're disabled and you ask specific questions, and maybe you're the only disabled person within 5 miles of yourself or within 2 miles of yourself, in theory, you could be identified. Now, not necessarily by name, but at least be able to be identified that you are a disabled person in that area. So there's concerns around actually how anonymous are we as disabled people? Are we more vulnerable using AI? It's a great discussion.
It is, yeah. And it's something, again, it's an angle I didn't think about, because you hear about this all the time. Your data is anonymized. You'll just appear as a random number, right? But it's more than that. By the questions that we ask, maybe about, screen reader commands or whatever it may be, actually, there is a chance you could be identified. It could be tracked back to who actually did that. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, so check it out. Reflections is a podcast. It goes out, I think, 4 times a week. And you can check it on AMI Audio, and you can also listen to it as a podcast, wherever you get those podcasts. Reflections, and if you're struggling to find it, just search for AMI Audio. Well worth checking out. It's a great show. The team, Ramia and Grant and all the team who work on that are doing a great job. So well worth checking out. Right, let's get into some emails, Shaun Preece.
Hit it.
Email.
I did.
We get email.
Yeah, a bit slow.
We get your email every day.
Ding
That was
dong.
Zoom's fault.
Here's your mail today.
Oh, oosh.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was terrible. It was too late.
Oh,
see,
this-
delayed.
It's
Rubbish.
awful. Your mic won't stand still, and I'm all over the place.
What's new? What's wrong with this? Why is everything just terrible?
Well, it's been a busy, last few days, been very busy. All this breaking news. We've been up and down, traveling the country. We're just getting back into it.
Can you
Please forgive us.
get train lag? Is that a thing?
Yes, you can. 3 hours traveling. Oh, I
On a
don't know
train,
where I am.
sitting down, being given cups of coffee and enjoying myself.
Oh, well, in first class, maybe, Stephen Scott.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's a Seat Frog. Oh, do you know, it's funny, right? Ever since we've talked about Seat Frog, this is this app in the UK that lets you get access to lower cost first class tickets. Every train I go to get now, no seats available.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's because of me. I think what's happened is the train companies have heard this and said, get rid of the Seat Frog thing. It's costing us an absolute fortune. Right, let's get into the emails. We've got Joe up first.
It's Joe Quinn here from Louisiana in the U.S. I'm going to try to make this brief, but sorry if it goes on a little bit.
That's fine.
So I have a lot of Blu-ray discs. Some of them have DTS, some of them have Dolby. I want the best of both worlds if at all possible as far as audio formats go. So I can play all my discs with my Sonos Arc Ultra and my Air 300s, which I'm going to eventually get. So I need a new television, and I saw your accessible television segment on Friday, the 7th of March. And I'm like, oh, cool, except it didn't really answer my question, except you did say that Sony is second as far as accessibility is concerned, which is great. However, Sony, apparently I was told that if you turn on the screen reader, it breaks the eARC function. I don't know if that's true anymore. I hope it isn't, because ironically, Sony is the TV that would fit me best as far as formats are concerned, because they support Dolby and DTS, which is what I would need for my Blu-ray discs. So is that still the case? I hope to God not. But I can't get a hold of anybody from Sony. And Crutchfield, which is an audio store here in the US, they don't know either. ChatGPT says that it shouldn't break the screen reader, but what does AI know? It shouldn't, but it does, or at least it used to. I don't know if it's still the case with the newer TVs. I think it's like the K3 or something. Because, I could get an LG TV, but that's almost $1,000 as opposed to the Sony Bravias being like, what, 500 or something like that, 400? So anybody know or have any have any concrete evidence or conjecture or whatnot on that, definitely
Anything.
let me know. Thanks. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. I don't know the answer to this one. We'll put this out to the audience. We'll also get in touch with Sony and ask them directly what's going on there. I have heard about this, though. I've heard sometimes...
Have you?
Yeah, the AD can sometimes break the ability to get, this high-quality audio out of your TV.
Well, hang on, that's different. What Joe's asking there is if you turn the screen reader on your TV, it breaks the ARC HDMI output channel. So ARC is the audio return channel. That's the channel, that's the HDMI port on a TV that actually pumps out the TV audio to whatever other device. So, for example, if you connect it to a sound bar, and then it pumps out the sound through that. So the audio return channel. Now, there's no reason that screen readers should break it, but as we know, hey, these things aren't deep tested, so there's every chance it could do. Honestly, I don't know though. That does. See, that is a concern though, because that's so important. If you're trying to set up a surround sound system, you need that. And if it goes away when you turn on accessibility, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's wasted. So yeah, Joe, I don't know. Stephen doesn't know. But let's see if our listeners do.
As you say, the big issue here is testing. The fact these things are not tested fully beforehand, they're not considered in the same way that other features would be tested. And that's the problem, it's lack of thought sometimes. Some say lack of care, I say lack of thought. Because I don't think people just even think about, that combination of if I turn the screen reader on while I'm testing the eARC out type thing. I don't think people connect this up. And that's a shame. But okay, look, Joe, we'll get in touch with Sony. And of course, if you are at home, have a TV that is a Sony and you've noticed this issue before, then do let us know. Neil's up next.
Hi lads. As they say, long-time listener but very rare contributor. On listening to Wednesday's show dated 6th of August, I heard Paul speak about poker and online casinos, which in general are not the most accessible. This pushed me to bring up an issue I've been battling with for a few weeks, and a wider issue of so-called VI organisations treating us with kid gloves and not as adults in the real world. I enjoy gambling and treat it very much as a leisure activity and only do it to enhance my enjoyment of sport, as I normally place a small bet on a sporting activity and then tune into the commentary. Recently, the app I found to be accessible, Sky Bet, had a huge update which made it completely unworkable for me. I contacted them with very little response, so tried the route of contacting Stephen's old employer through their helpline email, and even the organisation's tech podcast to request if others had the same problem, or to find out if there were any more accessible apps VIs were using. I got a bland email response saying nothing, and they couldn't recommend sites, and the podcasters simply ignored my request. I feel this was only due to the fact that I was speaking about betting or gambling, whatever you wish to call it. Now, as far as I know in the UK, this is a legal pastime and millions enjoy it as a leisure activity, as I do. So why do organisations that claim to represent us choose to ignore accessibility issues when it is not something they think we should be participating in? Perhaps I should take up basket weaving, or, to touch on another subject close to my heart, bed making in a sheltered workshop, something I did actually do for 12 years. I used to use a VI-friendly app for poker and a card game called Crazy Eights, which disappeared many years ago, called All In Play, which was fantastic, and I do think there are a couple still out there. I hope Double Tap will speak about this, as it really angers me that organisations seem to pick and choose what they campaign on for us, and if it doesn't fit with their so-called morals, led by middle-class individuals, they just ignore it. If we are to play a full role in society, they have to act on issues we have, and again, I think if these organisations were VI-led, this would be a more likely thing to happen. Regards, Neil Skeen. Comedian, but sadly this is no laughing matter.
No, you're absolutely right, Neil. And I'm glad you brought this up because, of course, this was the email that came in recently. And we did hear about this. One of our listeners was asking the question, if I want to be gambling online or playing, gambling on a gambling site or app, how can I do this? What's the accessible option? It does not surprise me at all that you got that response, because I've heard similar stories as well. And I have to say, in my time at RNIB, it was never a question that came to me. And in fact, if this had come up, it is absolutely something I would have talked about on the air, because I agree with you. This is relevant to us. I mean, I was getting myself in all kinds of trouble back in those days for saying and talking about subjects that, and to be fair, the radio team I worked with were very keen to come up with topics and talk about things that were, a little bit up against the wall.
Taboo?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the other one, I mean,
Blind people, gambling, adult sites.
I have to be honest about this. Yeah, I have to be honest about this. This is a thing that came up a lot. Was, you know, and actually, I remember the days when one of the most requested things that the let's just say the helpline used to get asked about was adult material. Now, in those days, it wasn't even adult websites. It was like, I guess, magazines rather than actual websites, because, you know, I'm a very old man, so, you know. Pre-internet stuff, right? But, you know, there were question marks around it, and there were strides made by certain adult sites in particular. I won't name names, but, you know, they were, because I think there's a line we can cross here, right, between, you know, advocating for access and advocating for pornography.
We know what
I think there's a line between the two, right? I think it's a distinction. I think you've got to make that. But, you know, there are and have been attempts made to make that kind of material accessible. Now, when it comes to gambling, again, like you said, Neil, this is a pastime. People do this all the time. And it always does come, every time I hear about gambling, it always does come with a bit of a finger wagging with it, especially in the UK. You know, I love these ads I see on the TV in the UK. I wish I could play one in for you just now so the international audience could hear these. Because it's like, you know, come play our amazingly addictive game. It's brilliant. But remember, when the fun stops, stop. You know, like, what does that mean? Does that mean when the repo guys come in, when he's taking the keys to your car? When do you decide enough is enough? When the engagement rings in a ball? You know,
shirt off your back.
Shirts off your back. You know, when do you decide enough's enough?
Yeah, exactly. It is that, what's the word you use? Infantilization.
Oh, infantilization, yeah.
Infantilization of the disabled, right? It is exactly that. Well, you know, that's not for you. You can't take part in that. But absolutely, I suppose the counter argument would be for the sight loss organizations, you know, limited resources, they need to choose their battles. Is it more important to go after a gambling site or a broadcaster who's refusing to make their app accessible, or, you know, AD streaming?
I don't know if that is the argument, though. I don't know if that's the case, though. I think it might be. I think morality might play a part in it, which again I think is a bit pathetic, because ultimately, look, at the end of the day, it's up to the individual, right? We're all adults, and if you treat us like children, then it would get you to the point where, you're not talking about access to pornography or access to gambling. And look, we can all debate inside that circle about whether or not we should or not. But the point is, you actually shouldn't argue the access point. Right? What people do in their own time is up to them. As long as it's legal, right? As long as it's on the side of legal, that's fine, right? I mean, there's legal everything, right? And there's illegal everything as well. And so obviously there's a line which we daren't and shouldn't cross. And of course, no one's expecting a sight loss organization to, you know, encourage illegal activities. No one would suggest that.
Yeah, but that's the point.
But gambling's not illegal, right? So, you know,
depending on the country you're in,
absolutely. Yeah. But we're talking here about the UK in this case with Neil, right? So, you know, here we have a situation where he wants to do something that he wants to enjoy. Who's got the right to tell him he shouldn't? And actually, why shouldn't we be advocating for this? You know, it's like, it might not look good. I don't care how it looks. It's about access.
How can it? Yeah,
access
how can it
is
not
irrelevant to that discussion. It's not a morality question, and that's a really good point Neil makes. Accessibility is not a morality question.
No,
get that in a t-shirt.
Yeah, it'd be a big t-shirt,
especially if it's in Braille.
No, it is. It's a great point, and it does, you know, to put a spotlight on, you know, people's perception of people with disabilities.
It's the hold your nose moment. It's the don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And that's a shame. You know, it's a shame that organizations won't touch it. They should. But again, you're right, Neil. I mean, you're right in everything you say. You really are.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
If these organizations,
have a little flutter.
I have to be honest, I don't even know. You say if these organizations were VI led, would they, you know, you were kind of putting the point out that, well, they would be up for doing this. I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah, even then, yeah,
because I think the same accusations you've leveled at RNIB regarding the middle class approach to this, for example, that doesn't change all of a sudden when someone's visually impaired in charge. They still hold the same values. Again, this comes down to the same issue that I have around this whole identity argument. When you put the identity first, you fail everything else. And actually, we're not our identities. We're certainly not blind people, and that is it. You know, we'll all have our own moralities, our own views, our own ethics, our own whatever. We all have that. Whatever it is, whether it be left-leaning, right-leaning, whether it's centre, whatever it is. We all have it built into us. It's not like blind people are all left wing. It's not how it works, right? So if you can accept that, then you realize that actually once certain people get into certain roles, and those are maybe kind of people who would probably be likely to end up in those roles, have those particular type of values, you end up in the same place, whether it's a sighted person or blind person running it. So the idea that blind people running everything makes it all better is a kind of a strange thing to say. When you really dig into it, it's a strange thing to say. I'm not saying I'm not for blind people leading organizations, but that's why I always say this. If a blind person is going to run an organization, you need a blind team. It's not enough to have a blind person running. It's not just
blind at the top.
No, because that is actually that is the worst thing you could possibly do. I am telling you, it's the worst thing, because I have seen this time and time again in my career and over my years, where one blind person gets in the room and suddenly that person becomes king or queen of blindness. And every other member of staff will say to you, who's sighted, will say to you, but that blind person said this. They know more than you because they're leading. Okay, but that's one opinion, one viewpoint. And look, that blind person might be loving the fact that their world is, everyone's coming to them like they're king or queen, kneeling before them. Oh my goodness, you're, everything there is to know about blindness. That's wonderful. They don't. Sorry, I'm smashing barriers here that people might not want me to smash. Stephen, you're smashing up the wrong barriers again. But look, I'm telling you the truth. You've got to have a bunch of people in charge, because you've got to have some friction and debate around what is right, what's wrong, get different opinions. So, in an organization where it might be run by, let's say, a particularly middle-class conservative blind person who, has got their views, and then someone comes and says, let's talk about gambling, you might find, Neil, you don't get your email answered either.
You get shut down.
Because it's not the moral thing to do. So, if you had a team of people around you, you say, well, actually, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think we should be discussing this because, well, why shouldn't we? Accessibility is not a moral question.
Well, it should be a simple mission statement for every sight loss organization out there. It's just equal access, right?
Yeah.
If there's a service out there, then, a visual impaired person should be able to access it just like a sighted person.
I sometimes feel, and I think this is why you guys connect with the show the way you do, but I think sometimes we do say things that only people who are in groups of other blind people who feel they can say these things. I find that quite sad that we're in that state in 2025. I feel we're at the early stages of any kind of movement towards any kind of equal access, even equal recognition of our abilities, of our capabilities. If you're at a stage where, you still in 2025 as an adult are being told, well, gambling's wrong and you shouldn't be doing that, I'll decide that for myself, thanks. And that self-determination is even questioned. Well, we think as the blind community, or we think as the blind representative on earth, that we think this. I don't know. I'm shocked by it.
Annoyed.
And I do get annoyed by it. It's why I don't work for a major organisation now. Not because they don't want me to, although I'm sure they don't. I'm sure that'd be the last person. Look, I'd probably be the last person they want running these organisations, because they'd be like, oh, he's just going to cause nothing but trouble. Well, you know what? Maybe we need a bit of trouble, right? Maybe that moves us forward a bit, because it hasn't moved forward in the last 40 years. Well, all sitting in our hands and employing a bunch of sighted people to tell us what to do.
Multiple viewpoints from different blind people. It's good to have an argument amongst blind people. It's fine. We all got different, as you said, opinions on things.
Absolutely.
Okay,
let's get a couple more in. Let's go to, I think Chris is up next. We're talking about file syncing. This was the issue you were having.
For me.
Yeah, this is for you.
Yes.
Hi guys, love the show. Just a quick note to read Shaun's question about how to sync files between two systems on Windows. If you're feeling adventurous, you can use a command line tool called RoboCopy. It's built into Windows. I have a very simple batch script I wrote to sync my documents to my NAS using RoboCopy. For Linux fans, it's a Windows equivalent of rsync. My NAS is mapped to my network, so shows up in Windows with a drive letter. RoboCopy has options to only copy files which have changed and log results. Of course, if doing this, you'd want to test it thoroughly first, lest risk copying in the wrong direction or wiping something. Hope this helps. Cheers, Chris in Bristol.
Now, also, before we get Bristol. Your comment on this, your favourite place, where you're from, right? What about Dan? Dan also wants to comment on this.
Greetings and salutations, Shaun and Stephen. A potential solution to your document synchronization dilemma. Get an external hard drive and plug it into your router. You might need to go into the router options to enable the USB port. You could then install Tailscale on your internal networked PCS to be able to access the NAS from outside your network. Another option would be good for Stephen, because it would require buying something new, is to get a Raspberry Pi starter kit and attach the external hard drive to it. Tailscale would then make the device accessible outside your network. OMV, Open Media Vault, could be used to create and manage the NAS. Stephen can ask Shaun to help with the technical bits. P.S. Thank you, Laura, for converting my words into speech. Dan.
Oh, you guys know me so well.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Let's get one more on this because there's one more before I let you comment.
Some sync suggestions for Shaun. I'm afraid I can't comment on their accessibility. SyncThing, peer-to-peer sync. SyncThing.net. Multi-platform, open source, very powerful, made my head hurt working out how to configure it. There's an excellent YouTube video on using it called SyncThing Made Easy. Filen, Filen.io. A cloud solution that provides instant synchronization and ensures your files are automatically synced across all your devices with real-time updates encrypted end-to-end. Try it free for up to 10 gigabytes. Subscribe for more. I have the starter lifetime 100 gigabyte plan, which cost me €29.99, and it works really well. Why Shaun's AI keeps talking to him in Welsh. I think it thinks he is Welsh because he has a Welsh name, Shaun Preece, aka Shaun a Preece.
Oh.
As Wikipedia says, Preece is a surname of Welsh origin. It is an anglicisation of Welsh ap Rhys, son of Rhys, and is a variant of the surname Price. Shaun probably knows this already.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy the podcast and have just started listening to the extra version. Tailscale next. Best wishes, Layla.
Oh, the Tailscale episode. It was absolutely riveting. Yeah, that was great. It was great. I loved it.
You love Tailscale.
I do
now.
know,
Even
yeah,
though you hate talking about the tech, you love Tailscale. You just don't want to go into the details.
It's so ironic. I hate talking about this stuff sometimes. And yet, once I get into it, I'm like, Shaun, this Tailscale thing is brilliant.
It's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you to everyone with your sync suggestions. I don't know where to start. I will take a look at SyncThing. I think I did look at that one, but got scared and ran away quickly. But I will take a look at those suggestions. Was that Dan, I think? Thank you so much. The USB hard drive into a router and being able to access that and back up onto that, copy files onto that, it does depend on your router. I did try that. I have a Netgear Orbi, which does have a USB on it, and you can plug a hard drive into it. And I've tried that. It's incredibly slow. I mean, just unusable for files over a certain size. It's just, it didn't work for me. But it may on different routers. On my current Amazon Eero routers, there's not an option to add a hard drive. So, yeah, but that's something. And what was the other one? Raspberry Pi scares me. I haven't got into Raspberry Pi yet. I should do. Should take a look.
I thought you would be right into that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I suppose it's the... Do you know what? It's because I'm coming straight to this with no reference point with the Raspberry Pi as a blind person. Every other system, I've got a vision map almost of it. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I've been using screen readers for absolutely years. So, but coming to something fresh, as a lot of people know, you know, it's like, yeah, I just don't know how I'm going to even get started with it. But the Raspberry Pi does intrigue me a lot.
You got to spider it, Shaun.
Beg your pardon?
You got to spider it.
What does that mean?
You could just get in there and start crawling around and just figure out where everything is.
Oh, sorry. Is that youth speak, Stephen Scott?
No, that is Stephen Scott speak. That is a phrase I
made
use.
That up.
I used it with you when we were at the train station. I said we're going to spider our way to the assistant's desk.
Oh, yes. Doing the blind conga, all three of us.
That's right, along the wall. 3 blind spiders. There's a book in that. Our children's book coming soon. The Angry Spider. Well, we are going to take a short break and we're going to come back with more news from Meta on the other side of this. If you want to get involved with the show, you want to send in your feedback, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Now, of course, the excitement has been palpable here at Double Tap with the news of the Meta Connect event. And I have to say, I predicted this, Shaun Preece.
Wait. How did you predict anything, Stephen Scott?
I said this was going to be a more exciting event than the Apple event, and I was right.
Yeah, you were. Sadly, yeah, we did say that. We were excited by this event, and not just because of the hardware, though, it turned out, right? I found the after the keynote event more interesting, gave us more news, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very interesting event, and made more so interesting by the number of people who are there. And one company in particular that I have to say surprised me a little bit when I learned they were there. I kind of think I know why they were there, but I thought, let's get them on and find out, because I could sit here and muse all day about all kinds of nonsense.
Explain yourself.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Let's just ask the question. Louis-Philippe Massé is joining us from HumanWare for the first time on the show. Good to have you here with us on Double Tap, Louis-Philippe.
Really glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, wonderful to have you here. Now, why was HumanWare at Meta Connect 2025? We're all very interested. What's going on?
Yeah, well, we've, of course, like many companies in the assistive technology market, we always been interested in smart glasses or their potential. And then since AI is part of the mix, of course, the interest is double, if not more. And so we've been, of course, knocking on the door of Meta for a while, and since actually HumanWare is part of EssilorLuxottica, let's just say that it helped. It helped when we were knocking at the door, saying, "Well, we're same kind of we're in the family with Ray-Ban," so of course that opened some discussions, but it I would say it took a while to start having conversations that were leading somewhere. So we've been since about the same time last year, starting to talk with the Meta team about potentially using a SDK, what they call the DAT, the Device Access Toolkit. And we were then part of a kind of an alpha program to help them develop their SDK, of course, but on our side, developing some potential applications that would be beneficial for visually impaired people.
Well, you can't leave it there. I mean, that's what we want to know. What are those applications? Why are you banging down Meta's door to get access to this SDK? That's the thing that's got us scratching our heads. What does HumanWare want to do with the Meta glasses?
Well, you know, we have been in the navigation and mobility field for a while. We have our very own tracker that was the launch, I think it was in 2003. So we always add devices, mobile GPSs or talking GPS, whatever you call them. And of course, these are handheld devices, but a lot of people, me included, were always thought that the best form factor would be to have this in a pair of glass for many reasons. First, it gives you one hand back. You don't need to always have your device in your hand, which is useful if the other hand has a white cane.
Yeah, definitely.
And well, in the countries where it's cold in winter, it's nice also to have hands in your pockets or inside gloves, so you don't not having to hold a device all the time is good. But not only that, the smart glasses with their camera that is near the eyes of the person who wear these glasses is a natural point to position a camera, because it's where the human eyes are. So the point of view that you get from these devices is more natural. So yeah, well, I'm not walking around your question. what we have been experimenting with, of course, is to port some of the functions that we add on the Stellar Track on the glasses, and also developing additional functions that are possible with AI. So we've been, doing the kind of usual suspects, like, where's my keys, these kind of things, these kind of basic functions that you can actually more or less successfully do out of the box with Ray-Ban Metas. But of course, at HumanWare, we don't want to do what Ray-Ban Meta is already doing for the mainstream people. We want to have something that is really useful and optimized for visually impaired people. So that's why we developed a few prototype functions. I really stress the word here prototype because some are really not. Some of these functions are really lab functions that they are not ready for prime time. For example, we detecting street lights and zebra crossings and being able to help giving information to the user that it's safe or not to cross the street. This is something that we have been playing with. We have this function as a beta function on the Stellar Trek.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been kind of doing this inversely a little bit, haven't you? Because you've been doing this with the Stellar Trek for a couple of years now, building these AI functions into that device.
Exactly. And we were working with what we had, which was the Stellar Trek platform, which has fairly good computing capabilities built in the device. So now we were saying, what about just porting these functions to the smart glass and see how it worked? And it's working pretty well. And we also, this is a function that we also did develop for the MetaConnect convention, let's call it like that, is a kind of follow me mode, which is you have a sighted person that is your guide, and you tap the glass and ask the glass to follow that guide. So this, so instead of using holding the hand or the elbow of that guide, the camera just localize that guide and gives audio cues to go left and right to be able to follow that person, which is useful, for example, in a public space like, I don't know, a train station, for example, or if suppose I want to guide a blind colleague to the toilets, for example, I can just say, "Hey, follow me," and you just activate that function, and it does so.
Cool.
Wow.
I'm thinking in a queue instead of constantly tapping the ankles or the heels of the person in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to be. Actually, it kind of mimics what the two-sighted person would do in real life. For example, I suppose I'm with my wife and say, well, just follow me, and she just follow me using her sight to do so, and she doesn't need to be kicking my kicking my foot with her heels. So that's the kind of thing that we try to duplicate.
Is this the first time you've gone, because this is basically you're moving into software?
Yeah, it's true. It's something that if you follow HumanWare history for a while, you understand that we were traditionally a hardware company where software was embedded in the devices, and with the growing complexity of software solutions, we're kind of seeing the hardware and the software kind of evolving. Not independently, we will continue to do hardware for sure, but we think that there's a lot to be done on the software side.
Oh.
And this is what people are doing now with their smartphones, right? They download apps, and some are good, some are bad, but some are very useful, right? And
absolutely.
And we will not transform HumanWare into a software company, but we will, as I said, like value both the hardware and the software for what they are.
I'm just interested why you see the move now because of the Meta glasses rather than, an app on someone's smartphone before this.
Yeah, well, good question. Before our view on that was that, well, if we develop an application on a smartphone, well, the form factor will be kind of similar to what we already have, and it will not necessarily be better because there's no tactile buttons on our smartphones, as we all know. So we kind of stick with what we knew how to do, which is like hardware devices with buttons and optimize user interface. Then, of course, having the smart glasses in our heads for a while, we were this for us is it's a different game. It's a different category of product. Is it going to replace the physical products with physical buttons? Probably not. Do we see these categories of product to cohabit? And so that's why we did. Actually, yeah, that's the reason why we didn't make the move to the smartphone apps, because we didn't see an advantage big enough to steer away from the device with physical buttons.
It's very interesting you talking about all this, because I am really intrigued to see what you can come out with here. You say a lot of this is prototype at the moment. You're working on this. And of course, the SDK has been teased at Meta Connect, and you've obviously got the ability to work with that and play with that. There's talk of early 2026, maybe even mid 2026, before we really see any of these features, these apps being, actually available on any devices. So it's not tomorrow. It's not coming next week, but it is coming. When do you think we'll start to see something realistically from HumanWare?
Well, there's many prerequisite questions that needs to be answered first. The one of them is how we will distribute that, and HumanWare is actually a distributor of Ray-Ban Metas, so we will start to distribute pretty soon the Ray-Ban Metas in our different dealer networks in different countries. But the software functions that I'm talking about, will they be sold, for example, as a software on our website, or is Meta going to have their own kind of app store? This is still not clear, to be very honest.
So we don't know that yet, right? You don't know exactly how that's going to lay out. Okay.
Exactly. But what we are thinking for the moment is to have some kind of a HumanWare kind of application that would be available for the Ray-Ban Metas, and this application could be either purchased by a one-time fee, or it's going to be some kind of a subscription. So we're considering these different possibilities for the moment, but we don't have a clear path yet.
I did want to ask you about that, about cost, because when you talk about software,
right,
we've all been down this road before. I'm sure you know this road only too well with developers who build this software. And I think HumanWare are different in this case. You're in this space, you know it well. But, let's be honest, software is not as lucrative, you might argue, than hardware is. Although there's a huge cost to developing that hardware and selling that hardware. So maybe the costs actually even out in the end. I don't know. But, when it comes to monetizing this, you obviously have to find a way to do it to make money.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have, obviously, your listeners know that we're not a non-for-profit. We need to survive, and it's a hard business, assistive technology. People sometimes they look at the price of our product and say, well, yeah, HumanWare and other companies, they are exploiting people with visual impairments. But actually, the cost of developing electronic hardware is very high, and the cost of producing it is high as well. Because, if we compare ourselves with the mainstream companies like Apple and Samsung and these companies, they literally make millions of their phone per month, and we probably made 1 million device in the whole 38 years of existence of HumanWare. So to make electronics at reasonable cost, you need volume. My background, I was in the electronic industry before, and before, if you talk about less than 10,000 units a year, the cost of electronics is high. So yeah, so how to monetize the software? Well, there's one good thing about software is that there's no hardware to develop.
Yes, that's done.
It's exactly, and so once you have your software, you don't have cost of goods. So then you need to find a way to generate sufficient revenue that you're not losing money, and you get a little extra money so you can continue to develop. So
yes, yeah, I always sit in a difficult position in this one, because on one hand, I rail against the cost of a lot of these devices out there. I mean, we've been talking about the Monarch here, and I know that's a joint partnership between yourselves and APH in America. But, I talk about these costs, and I say, these costs are so high, they possibly exclude more people than they include because of the costs. But, of course, then I come to, what you're talking about, and I think this sounds amazing. I'm going to have to pay for it, right? So how much is it going to cost? Yeah. I know, but I suppose the thing here is with the Meta Ray-Bans and this technology is that cost will be substantially cheaper because you're buying software. So in some ways, it maybe makes it a little bit more accessible to more people than, say, a Monarch or even a Braille display would.
Yeah, well, you have a very good point there, because, Meta, they're developing these glasses for the mainstream. They are able to sell them in huge volume, and they are able to get much better pricing on their electronics that we could ever have. And so this makes the physical product much less expensive than if, for example, HumanWare would be developing their own glass ourselves. And then, so then, of course, that's a mainstream product. So to make it useful, to make it efficient for the visually impaired community, that's why we want to add value-added software that will be doing. In addition to what's already present on the glasses, we will be providing extra capabilities to the users. And yeah, of course, even if we generate money out of this, the cost of this compared to physical products will be much lower. So at the end of the day, it will make this solution more accessible to more people. So it's kind of a different business model for us. HumanWare, like not just HumanWare, it's our competitors are in the same situation, that we were making products that were expensive. We were selling them to less people. Now we want to try the other way around, which is having something that is less expensive, but that will be accessible to more people. So
argument that's been made plenty of times. If you bring the price down, do you sell more, and it all evens out? Yeah, so this will be a good test. Can I just suggest, before you even go down the subscription model, that you think about the advert? Put an advert in there and make it free. I'll go with that.
Right.
That's a joke, by the way.
How does that work? As you're walking around, it just starts advertising McDonald's to you?
Yeah, while I'm in the middle of crossing a road. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, just before we cross the road, let's hear a 30-second message for the double tap.
That's okay. That's all right. Double tap adverts, that's fine.
Can I just ask, going about the software, and you probably, I don't know if you know the details of this yet, when you're talking about AI to identify different objects,
Right.
are you limited to the meta AI, or can you use your own AI service or engine?
We could use our own, or any other solutions. For now, there's no restriction on which AI model that we can use. For the Stellar Trek, we have developed our own. It's our own proprietary AI model that we have developed. But it was designed to be very small, very compact, because it's made to be able to work off the grid. Doesn't need to be connected to the cloud all the time. This is good, but on the other side, it limits a lot what could be done, because the new large language models are big, huge monsters that can only reside on servers somewhere. You cannot make something. You cannot download the old Chat GPT on a mobile device. So that's also why we want to, for the moment, stay agnostic on which AI model or tool we will use.
Just two quick questions I've got here on this. One,
Sure.
You mentioned this will work with the Ray-Ban glasses. Now, are we talking across the range of Ray-Ban glasses here, including, I imagine, the display, or the Ray-Ban with the display?
I would say eventually, because if you compare the Ray-Ban Metas and the Oakley Metas, they have different styles for people who have different some prefer one look, some prefer the other one, whatever. So our understanding is that the functions that we're developing could work on both. These are all things we will have to validate, of course. We didn't got our hands on the Oakley models. The display, that's a very interesting question. I tried the display glasses last week, and they are incredible, especially with the wristband to control the glasses. This opens so many new possibilities. It's kind of overwhelming, I think. Not just for the mainstream, but for visually impaired people, being able to control different devices using this wristband. Not even without the glass, that could be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Imagine, coupling this to a braille display, or to a laptop that is running JAWS or other softwares. That could be a very cool way to interface with a machine.
Yeah, I mean, the potential here is endless. It's all potential at the moment, obviously, but it's Meta have said themselves in interviews, they are looking to find ways to allow the neural band to control other devices as well. So they are clearly thinking about that, and they'd be smart to. I just want to ask the question to those who are stalwarts of the HumanWare products. This work you're doing is an addition to the work you do with the Stellar Trek and the braille displays and the Victor Reader. There's not a suggestion that, it's the end of the line for products. Stellar Trek's finished. We're moving to glasses. It's not. That's not that, right?
No. Far from that. It's exactly as you said. It's an addition. We'll continue to develop braille displays, note takers, product for magnification, book players, even the Stellar Trek navigation device is something that we'll continue to have. What's the future will be in 5 years? We'll see. Honestly, we want, at the end of the day, we want to provide the best possible solution for people, and some will continue to prefer a dedicated physical device, and we respect that. We like that, because that's our DNA, right? That's what we've been doing for years. So I don't see a time in the short term that we will phase out physical product.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been wonderful chatting with you today and learning about all this. It's so exciting to see you guys in the room as well, and just being able to talk about this and learn about what you're doing. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Louis-Philippe Massé from HumanWare. Great to have you. Come back soon.
Well, anytime.
Wonderful.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. There you go. That's it for another Double Tap today. Wow, I was not expecting that, I'll be honest.
I know, nor me. Yeah, breaking news.
Yeah, where to begin on that one? I think there'll be plenty of commentary to come on that. Get in touch in all the usual ways, you know how, and we'll catch you on the next Double Tap. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.